Morning, this is the Eager Beaver Show.
You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Misfit Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters, CanadianTarot.com, your uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community, and the Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from farm-fresh ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind.
Well, good morning and hello, kids, and welcome to season 4 and episode number 372 of the Daily Beaver Morning Show. Here on 370. No, not 372.
6.
6. I'm 1 week behind. Of the Daily Beaver Morning Show here on the Crier Media Network. Yeah. Today, recording day is, I don't even know what day of the week it is. It's
Tuesday.
Yes, May 7th, 2024. And it looks like it's going to be a gorgeous day here at the Beaver Lodge. The sky, just like yesterday, is fully blue without a cloud in it where I'm sitting right now. I'm your host, the Eager Beaver, pronouns he, him, hey, Mr. Beaver A. And with me, as always, is my good friend, Mr. Grizzly. Of course, a big thank you goes to our podcast founding sponsors, the Peppermaster, the Misfit Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, and CanadianTarot.com. We have a little nibble for you today, but before we go any further, let's ask Mr. Grizzly, how's your mental health doing today, sir?
I think it's pretty good, actually. I had a pretty confessional ASMR last night, for those of you who were able to tune in. And I'm feeling better about it. I needed to, get some stuff off my mind, and had a very frank and revealing discussion. But that's okay, because that's the point of it, right? It's to try and create an atmosphere where other people can feel comfortable enough to express how they're feeling, either in chat or via email or via DM to me, or, want to come on and talk about it. But it was, it was just very refreshing to be able to have that discussion, I thought, anyway.
Okay.
So I'm good this morning. Yeah, I'm good.
Oh, good. I'm glad to hear it. I'm sorry I missed it yesterday.
Yeah, it's available for your viewing pleasure.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I went to bed early.
Oh, okay.
Went to bed very, very, very early.
It's in the chat if anybody wants to have a look.
Actually, oddly enough, normally it's the sofa that's this particular sofa that I'm sitting on right now happens to be blessed/cursed with being the most comfortable sofa in the history of the world. So if you stretch out on it,
You're going to fall asleep.
yes, your day's over. Well, yesterday I actually fell asleep in an upright chair.
Mm.
I didn't even make it to the sofa. I got in from running a couple of errands. I talked to my Beaver sweetie on the phone. I warmed up some food, some leftovers, sat in the chair, ate it, and when I woke up, the bowl was right in my crotch.
Wow.
Empty.
Yeah.
I had finished my meal before falling asleep, but the bowl was just sitting there, and so it's like, and I woke up like 2.5 later. I guess I did not move 1 inch the entire time because the bowl should have gone flying at some point.
And it didn't. So
And it stayed right. It's like this. I could have put it on my head I think, and I would have woken up, and it still would have been there. I was out.
I've done something similar, but it was with a pint of Guinness on my knee.
Yeah, I was just completely
Yeah,
out.
and woke up and it was still there. It's
Yeah.
Guinness after all. You don't spill. It's just
No, not even to sleep. No,
No.
gee, can't do that. Not to that good lad. Oh, all right. So enough about us. It wasn't a particularly eventful day
It really
in
wasn't.
national politics at all. A lot of it is stuff going on is positioning, and as we mentioned yesterday, for example, the budget measures that the capital gains provision has been pulled,
Mhm.
and that will be its separate standalone bill to try to get PP to make a statement on that, given that he's been working very hard to not make a statement specifically on the tax policy. Another move that came yesterday was uh, some procedural motions with regard to the passage of the pharmacare legislation. As we mentioned yesterday, Jagmeet Singh uh, went all over social media and on the press and said, Pierre Poilievre, I give you 48 hours to stop blocking
Yeah.
women's health, or I will force. And it's like
Dude, you're posturing because you don't with the
the
supply and
frame.
confidence agreement, they don't need a single vote from the cons to pass
I know.
legislation.
I get this, right? They don't need it, and it's not like Pierre is going to support it. And you know, I mean, this is an exercise in framing again, right?
Yeah, yeah,
This
yeah.
the thing that is going to pass eventually. I know is going to pass eventually because the liberals are going to support. We're going to support it, and that's enough. Because I'm going to start calling. Now, normally the strategy is to call on the prime minister to do the thing
Yes.
that they're not to do anyway. But he's calling on the leader of opposition, knowing that he won't support it, to support it. Otherwise, he will force it through. Well, he won't force it through. It's already scheduled vote, and he already has the support of the governing party.
So there's no forcing going on.
Like this, and without the governing party agreeing to actually put it on the order paper or the agenda, well, he can force all he wants. It's not going through.
Yeah.
So I understand this is an exercise in framing, but he really, really, really needs a new word because force is not it. You're the fourth party. You're not forcing anybody to do anything. Nobody's buying that.
Yeah.
Nobody's doing that. You persuade. You brought people
Mhm.
along. You convinced. Right? You fought for. You made an irrefutable case for, but forced. Forced. You
Yeah.
have no leverage. You have no leverage, and the leverage of going into an election is not even there because, if you're the NDP, if the first digit in your polling is not at least a 2, what's the point?
Mhm. Oh yeah.
So, yeah, but hey, that's okay because there's a government motion to speed up the passage of the pharmacare legislation. That's the other thing, is that the motion to speed up the legislation is a government motion. It's not even an NDP motion. So if anybody say that they were forcing at this point, it would be the government. The same government that Jagmeet Singh tried to convince us months ago when they announced that the legislation was coming. They said that he had to force them to do that too. Well, they seem to be pretty freaking much all on board now, right?
Oh yeah.
Because they're the liberals are the ones that put into place the procedural motion to speed up. So, hey, Jagmeet Singh, good job. You really, really convinced them because now they've got the ball and they're running with it. Good job on forcing them.
I'm just tired of his posturing like this. It's like, dude, it's not necessary.
No, and it's an insult to intelligence.
It really is. Ed Broadbent is spinning on this one. You know it. You know it. This is not a move that Ed Broadbent would have ever done.
No.
His mentor, as he told us.
Yes. I'm not sure. I'm not entirely convinced he knows Ed all that much, but he says he did.
Yeah.
But that would be me. But according to iPolitics, the New Democrats are throwing their support behind a government motion to speed up passage of pharmacare legislation. The party teamed up with the Liberals to pass a time allocation motion on Monday that limited debate at second reading of the bill to 5 additional hours. When debate wraps, a vote would then be held to send the bill to committee. It's expected to pass easily as both the Liberals and NDP are in support of the legislation. The move comes after NDP leader Jagmeet Singh threatened the Conservatives to withdraw their amendment that would kill the legislation by noon on Monday, which the Tories ignored, of
Mhm.
course. So that's the other thing too. Says if you don't do it, I'll force you. And basically, the Conservatives went, and there you go.
You're going to pass it anyway.
An NDP source told iPolitics early in the day that if the Conservatives failed to act, the party would likely then work with Liberals to bring in the time allocation to push the bill forward. Singh made his demand in a letter Sunday to Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre, calling on him to support moving this important initiative forward as quickly as possible. Quote, as you know, Canadians are facing a cost of living crisis, and this crisis has real impacts on people's health. Nearly 1 in 4 Canadians have reported splitting pills, skipping doses, or deciding to not fill or renew vital prescription medications due to their high costs. This cannot continue, Singh wrote in the letter dated on Sunday. He also continued, while big pharmaceutical and insurance companies are making huge profits, surely Canadians shouldn't have to continue to pay amongst the highest prices in the world for their medications. So there you go. The NDP had originally given the Liberals until the end of 2023 to pass the pharmacare bill, but they had rejected original drafts of the legislation, so that's why it took a little longer. Both sides agreed to a new deadline of March 1st, 2024 to introduce the legislations, with the Liberals and NDP reaching a deal on the bill with only a few days left. So the last time we talked about this was around that time of the year, March, when it came up.
I want to
The
address this
Conservatives,
comment. The government is criminal at this point with zero accountability. It's from Twitter.
what?
The nation was flooded with newcomers to raise house prices $500,000 per unit. Westerners' birth rates are super low, and you guys are talking birth control. Eek. Let's have a look at Canada's current population of almost, 41,160,000. Yes, we're going to talk birth control. I don't understand what you're trying to say here. Maybe
Yeah.
people aren't having a lot of babies, but people are coming to this country. So what is it? Is it too many people are coming to the country driving up house prices, or people aren't having enough babies? You just defeated your own argument there. It doesn't
Yeah.
I'm sorry, dude. I'm not trying to be an arse here, but you're not making any sense. Too many people are coming in driving up house prices. We aren't having enough babies. One thing defeats the other part of your argument.
Right. It's a recycled conservative trope. It's been going around the internet for the last 2-3 days.
Yeah.
So that's just someone coming in with an idea that is not freely thought, but downloaded from Central Brain here.
Mm-hmm.
Let's not engage with those types of comments. So
No. I'm not trying to raise hell or anything.
this person's you're talking about birth control. Eek! I mean, if you're talking about birth control, makes you squeamish. I mean, sorry.
Can't help you.
More than half the population is women, right? So at some point, the topic is going to come up. All right. So, and also, not every man that decides that he wants to put it somewhere wants to have a kid. So birth control also matters for them. So just, let's calm down.
Yeah, it's a two-way street when it comes to birth control.
Let's calm down. So the Conservatives last month put forth an amendment to kill the bill, saying it, quote, does nothing to address the healthcare crisis and will instead offer Canadians an inferior pharmacare plan that covers less, costs more, and builds up a massive new bureaucracy that Canadians can't afford. That statement is bullshit because, number one, offers Canadians an inferior pharmacare plan to what?
Exactly.
Inferior to what? Okay, so number one, there isn't another national pharmacare plan to which this could be inferior to. So that doesn't make sense. The plan covers less, costs more. Again, than what? And for whom? And builds up a massive new bureaucracy that Canadians can't afford. Well, again, I mean, the conservatives are not concerned with bureaucracy. I mean, let's not believe that. I mean, they want to institute a whole bureaucracy to make sure that transgender children don't get health care. They want to establish a whole new bureaucracy you know, I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, this, you got to remember when conservatives complain about money, it's never about money because they spend more typically than other people, and they spend money rather than to help you to make sure you get kept down. So it's not about money. It's not about bureaucracy. If the money in the bureaucracy is being built and the money is being spent to keep you down, then they're all for it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
It's never
exactly.
it's never about the money with conservatives. That's just an emotional heartstring. Oh my God, what are you doing for the previous generations? Or they're robbing you blind. Or third one, look, they're making you pay for someone else. Because in a democratic country, we don't all pay for somebody else at some point. Actually, we all pay for pretty much everybody else on every single given day. Yeah. So, like, come on, man. Um, so yeah, this is gone through. Um, Oh, well, yeah, since we're talking about money here, the PBO has pegged the overall cost of the single payer system at $33.2 billion in 2024-2025 before rising to $38.9 billion in 2027-2028. It's also estimated that a national pharmacare program would result in cost savings for drug expenditures thanks to better price negotiations with $1.4 billion in 2024-25 that would increase to $2.2 billion in 2027-2028. So there you go. Now, I'm not sure. Uh, now, these are numbers, of course, for a universal single payer system.
Right.
Like not just these two here, but when they're talking about like this, oh my God, it's going to cost so much money. It's like no, we'd actually be having cost savings in drug expenditures.
And that's been proven time and time again that that is the
Yes.
case.
So we would have one line item of a budget that would go up, and another line item of budget that would go down. And by making sure that people can take their medications on a regular basis, we also reduce healthcare costs that come
Funny how
from
that works, huh?
complications from people skipping their medications. Right. So there is some money to be saved. Again, when you have these conversations, you always have to, if nobody's willing to have the conversation from both sides of the ledger, okay, yes, we have to pay more on this, but we save here.
Mhm.
You're only looking, oh my God, look at all the things you have to pay more on. Then you're not having a good faith conversation. Those are like the carbon tax conversations that never mention the rebate.
Of course.
Oh, you're talking about the money going out, but you never talk about the money coming in. You got to talk about the money flowing both ways, or else it's not a good faith conversation. So yeah, so we have that procedural move that happened, and it looks like that legislation, at least to get to those two things, uh, diabetes, insulin, and testing, or managing equipment and paraphernalia, as well as birth control of various forms. Um, and So that will be a good start, and hopefully it will be a system that people can start to subsequent governments will start to build on, hopefully. And if it remains just that, well, at least it helps those people. But because I would not foresee much of an expansion
Mm.
if
Yeah.
one certain blue party would become the government.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't think that would happen. Um, Elsewhere in the world, the stuff that's going on, there doesn't seem to be much development either here in Canada with regard to the campus protests. University of Toronto still seems to have the policy, their second policy, because the first one is that they gave everybody till 10 o'clock on Monday, I think it was,
Mhm.
or on Sunday to disperse. And then they decided, okay, well, if the protest does remain peaceful, in word and in deed, the encampment would be allowed to remain. Um, Certain premiers are, making big stinks about stuff. You had Doug Ford tried to have a moment yesterday saying, things that we similar say on the show. We come here to live in peace and all that kind of stuff, and to try and keep it that way. Wasn't a bad statement. It's just
Well, where was he during the 3 weeks of the occupation of the city of Ottawa?
Well, that's the thing, right? It's that everything that he said there, he could have said during the occupation.
He's like, according to Colin DeMello, it says breaking, Doug Ford says university encampments need to be dismantled and calls for the universities to act. The university has to move these people along. The premier adds there's hate speech and nasty stuff being said.
Yep.
Doug, 3 weeks that took place in my neighborhood. You didn't lift a damn finger. You're a hypocrite.
Yeah. I don't know if you have a clip of him saying it. But
I'm trying to find it.
yeah, I saw it the other day. Like I said, it's not particularly memorable or anything, and there are no gaffes or anything. It's something that needed to be said. It's just,
I've got it.
Where were you?
I've got it. We'll run the clip here.
Okay.
A sec. Here we are.
And I wish those people in the parks, at the universities, could hear your story. That we need to remove those people. These universities have to make a move. It's so disturbing. When I see these protests, yeah, we live in a democracy. Everyone's allowed to protest peacefully, and that's what I mean, peacefully. The hatred I have seen on these protests, I've never seen before in my entire 60 years, not quite 59 years, of living here in Toronto. We're here, you want to be here in Ontario, you live in peace and love. That's what we encourage all the time, is making sure we respect every single culture, no matter where you're from. No matter if you're from Palestine, or if you're from Israel, or you're anywhere else. If you live peacefully, that's what we expect here. You don't come to Ontario, no matter what culture you are, and stir things up. As simple as that.
So,
like I said, there's nothing wrong with the statement.
no, there's nothing
The
wrong
problem
with
is that it doesn't seem to apply universally.
No, it's just certain groups, right? Again, nothing wrong with the statement. It's an accurate, apt, appropriate statement.
But you're just sitting there, you go, oh, so you do know how to say these things.
Yeah. It's when it doesn't fall into his narrative, if it doesn't support his narrative.
This is a concept with which you are familiar. Oh, that would have been nice to know a couple of years ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or did you just discover this, Premier Ford?
Well,
is this a new learning for you? And when we say we respect all cultures, do we mean just ethnic cultures, or do we respect other cultures, Mr. Ford? Because I think some autistic children and their parents would like to have
a word or two.
And I'm not sure when the last time it was you went to a pride parade of some kind. I think you might have gone once in your current mandate at some point.
Know. Has he? I'm not saying he hasn't. I don't know.
Not sure, but you didn't make a big deal of it. But I think you might have, because normally the response is, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm at the cottage," during that time.
I was on the phone 24/7. In the summer, that's the name of his sea-doo. In the winter, that's the name of his ski-doo.
Yes. So, not all cultures, though, right, Doug? This culture, maybe.
Why is stock market crash trending? Is there something we don't know about?
Not that I know of at the moment.
I'm just posing the question because you know what though? This looks like it's the stock market in Delhi. So maybe there's something going on there we don't know about. Okay. Sorry, I'm not trying to panic anybody. It's just when I see that, it makes me hold my breath for a few seconds because it's like, uh-oh. That's never a good sign, right? When I read about a stock market crash, it's like, that can't be good.
Oh, I think I don't know about Delhi. It says Financial Guru forecasts a massive stock market correction in the U.S. So Financial Guru in Delhi
Oh,
is,
okay. Okay.
yeah, is
Thank you.
saying, yes, he says that there's an impending market plunge. Top strategists forecast 44% S&P 500 crash. Yeah,
Mm.
I, yeah, I don't think so. I would be surprised. There's in business news, you will always the perfect example of this is, for example, the interest rate cuts. Right, we've had people say since the beginning of the year, oh, the first one is coming in June, absolutely, and then people, oh no, it won't be before November. Oh, there'll be 3 cuts before the end of the year. Oh, maybe if we're lucky, we'll get one. Well, no, it's it's speculation. Sometimes a lot of it is, predictions being made with a view to maybe trying to nudge or influence the central bank to make a decision in certain ways. You've seen a lot of them. After the latest numbers come out or something like this. Oh, yeah. This means that this means that the Bank of Canada or the central bank in the United States, they must cut rates now.
Hmm.
It's like, okay, that's your opinion, but it doesn't, and that will get you, a 5-minute spot on Bloomberg News, but it's it's speculation, right? The
Yes.
market, until it happens, it hasn't happened.
Well, and this is the thing. This is the thing, because I thought there was a crash. That's why, I was like, "What? What's going on here?" But if it's
Yeah,
just speculation, I'm not sweating a damn thing.
yeah, I think
Not
it's
worried
just,
about it.
yeah, this guy must be, a really recognized, well-known guru, maybe a Kevin O'Leary type or something like that. That says, okay, what's the thing that I can say? Yeah, the S&P is going to crash 44% this year. Oh, well, let's talk to this guy.
Hmm.
So and so for so and so investment and management, and there you get the plug, and there you go. You're off to the races. So this one might be a little more earned media than sound prediction, because if we were really on the verge of that collapse, there'd probably be more than one guru saying it. Maybe. So, but hey, he, he might be right too. You, that's the thing with the market. You don't know until it happens. So just, you know, don't use this. Just like, the federal government instituted a capital gains inclusion increase. Sell everything that you own by June 25th. Do that. A market guru said that the S&P is going to drop 44%. Sell everything. Don't do that. Talk to someone first.
Hmm.
Talk first. Talk to your financial advisor, please. All right. Don't go freelancing on these types of decisions just based on the latest emotional you see popping through the web. There. All right. What else do we have for you? We mentioned yesterday that the Liberals were considering introducing legislation for a foreign agents registry. This is something that a lot of people have been saying has been missing with regards to election interference. The Conservatives have been making calls for this for a long time as well. Uh, this is one issue where the Conservatives could legitimately say they applied pressure, even though it seems that the Liberals had pretty much agreed that they would do this some time ago. Maybe it just took a little time to come along. But it's called Bill C-70, if you hear that. Uh, that's what they're talking about here. It's the Foreign Agents Registry. Uh, the bill to update that. So, according to iPolitics, again, says the Liberal government is introducing a bill that would establish a foreign agents registry, requiring individuals attempting to influence Canadian democracy to disclose their ties with other countries. Bill C-70, tabled by Public Safety Minister Dominic LeBlanc on Monday, would also equip the Canadian Security Intelligence Services, or CSIS, with an increased ability to communicate potential threats to non-governmental stakeholders, and proposes 3 new criminal offenses related to committing acts associated with attempted foreign interference. Quote, Canada is a strong, open, and free democracy, said LeBlanc. These strengths, however, can make Canada a target for those wanting to advance their interests to the detriment of our own. Should the bill pass, anyone with a relationship with a foreign entity and that is attempting to influence the Canadian government on behalf of that entity will be required to publicly register all relevant activities. In a briefing for reporters, senior government officials said inspiration for the registry came from allies like Australia and the UK, both of which have already implemented such a disclosure mechanism. They're also some of our Five Eyes allies. So, sort of like maybe a little more internationally integrated system is coming along here between the five partners. It should be noted certain individuals like diplomats or government officials traveling to Canada on official business will not be required to register their activities. Government officials gave the example of an individual in Canada who enters into a contract with a foreign state to persuade the federal government to introduce a new policy. If this individual, under their contract, began writing and publishing articles advocating for the policy without disclosing their international ties, they would be required to register their activities. Individuals who knowingly fail to register or commit any other offense under the Act could be hit with a $5 million fine or face up to 5 years in jail. The registry will be administered by a new Foreign Influence Transparency Commissioner, who, like the Competition Commissioner, will be an agent of Parliament appointed for a term of up to 7 years, and there is no conservative howling about a new bureaucracy when it comes to this.
Funny that, eh?
Just point that out. Yes. As it is currently written, the bill will come into effect 1 year after receiving royal assent, as to allow time for the new commissioner's office to be set up. When asked whether the bill would pass in time for these new provisions countering foreign interference to be placed ahead of the next federal election, LeBlanc said that would be, quote, ideal, but acknowledged there could be unexpected delays when working in a minority parliament. So basically saying it could be in place for the next election so long as the Conservatives cooperate.
Mhm. Funny how that works.
That's the between the lines text there. With less than 6 sitting weeks left in the spring parliamentary session, the bill may not pass through the House and Senate until the fall. The fact that we've got 6 weeks left in the session before summer break also explains a lot of these parliamentary procedural moves in terms to invoking time allocation to make sure that the bills get discussed and passed before we leave for the break. The latest possible date for the next federal election is October 20th, 2025, though the writ may drop much sooner should the supply confidence agreement between the Liberals and NDPs fall through. The bill's introduction also comes just 3 days after the interim report from the Public Inquiry into Foreign Interference found that the last 2 federal elections were subject to attempted influence from foreign states or state-backed actors. So there you go. Conservatives, again, that Sebastian Skamsky person that keeps on coming up because apparently he's the party spokesperson. They say instead of protecting Canadians and diaspora communities, he blocked, delayed, and obstructed a foreign influence registry at every turn, said Skamsky. Only a common sense conservative government will protect our people, defend our democracy, and stand up for foreign governments that attempt to interfere in our country. And that's why we will not say whether or not we will support this. That last bit was my own editorial.
I figured.
We've been calling for it forever. It's something absolutely essential. Will you be supporting it? Skamsky did not specify whether the Tories supported the bill, though he said the party would, quote, closely examine the legislation in the coming days. Meanwhile, NDP House Leader Peter Julian called the announcement long overdue, but a welcome first step, which is the appropriate response. Not the one that the Conservatives did. The one that's tethered and based in reality is this one. We're in this position because successive Conservative and Liberal governments have failed to treat these threats with the urgency required to protect Canadians and our electoral system from foreign interference. So a little bit of Liberal Tory same old story going on in that response. You Democrats have been urging them to take this step since it will help ensure accountability and transparency for Canadians and help deter foreign interference. So right now we have 2 parties, the NDP and the Conservatives, who are both saying we've been calling on the Liberals to do this forever, and the NDP saying, "Yahoo, let's fucking go," and the Conservatives go, which party really wants this to pass? Doesn't seem like it's the Conservatives. Just saying.
Mhm.
Oh God, I just laughed like Krusty the Clown there. In addition to registered Bill C-70, would also update the governing legislation for CSIS, giving the intelligence agency the ability to share information with entities other than the federal government. Speaking to reporters, LeBlanc identified provinces and territories, universities, and private companies as entities that have been calling for the change. Government officials said the amendments will help improve Canada's resilience to foreign interference, but the changes will only apply on a case-by-case basis as to best balance privacy concerns with other requirements. In certain situations, said officials, it would be up to the Minister of Public Safety to determine whether if it's in the national interest to disclose the information. Quote, a resilient and informed population is our best defense against foreign interference, said LeBlanc. The bill would also give CSIS the authority to collect from within Canada intelligence that resides outside of Canada. Other notable changes include the introduction of 3 new offenses for committing an indictable offense at the direction of a foreign entity, engaging in the state. Sorry, let me try that again. Other notable changes include the introduction of 3 new offenses for committing an indictable offense at the direction of a foreign entity, engaging in a state-backed deceptiveness for the benefit of a foreign country, and engaging in state-backed deceptiveness to the detriment of Canadian democracy. Each of the new offenses will carry a maximum penalty of life imprisonment. So, not messing around.
No.
Not messing around. You know, up to $5 million fines, life imprisonment.
Pretty serious stuff, if you ask me.
Yeah. Yep. And sorry, life imprisonment for actually engaging in those 3 new offenses, $5 million fine, and up to 5 years in jail, or up to 5 years in jail for not registering. So if you get caught with your pants around your ankles, you could be in trouble. $5 million fine or up to 5 years in jail is a pretty good incentive to register.
I think so.
I think so. So far, looks like a pretty solid bill. We'll be looking forward to hearing what people in the intelligence community seem to say about it, because right now we just pretty much have the NDP and the Conservative take. So it will be interesting to see what the Michel, the Thomas Junot's and the Michel Katsuyas will have to say about this type of stuff, the Reg Alcox and all of them. But on prima facie, on the surface, it looks like it's a pretty solid bill. And the lack of howling or complaining from the Conservatives so far would seem to indicate that.
Corroborate, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, when all they can turn around and say in the face of such a bill as, well, they promised to do it before, and well, we've been calling for it for a long time. We'll look it over. You've done well. That means you've pretty much handcuffed Conservatives on this one.
Yes.
Good. In other news, our favorite minister. Oh, come on, Sean Fraser.
Oh, I thought you were being sarcastic. That's why.
No. Oh, sorry. Yes.
Our favorite minister sounded sarcastic to me.
I can understand how my tone could have.
Yes.
Yes, construed that way. Yes. No. I mean it. Our favorite minister, because he's so tall and handsome, and dark. Well, that's not the only reason he's my favorite minister. He's actually kind of smart too, in getting it done. But you know what? The federal government sometimes threatens the provincial government. You better do this or else, and nothing really happens. Well, the federal government said, you got to not overcharge people for stuff on health, or else we will retain some of the money. And then they found out that certain provinces did bill people for stuff privately that wasn't, and the federal government retained the money.
Yes.
And a lot of provinces was, well, you didn't say you would actually follow through. It's like, well, duh.
Well, we said there were strings attached.
Yeah, but you guys never follow through. Why'd you follow through this time?
Yeah, well, things are different now.
Yeah. Well, again, according to Davis Legree, reporter, Fraser pulls $357 million in funding from Ontario over affordable housing dispute. Oops. It seems that Doug Ford's friendship with Chrystia Freeland doesn't only go so far. The federal government is making good on its threat to withhold $357 million in affordable housing funding from Ontario, saying the province is not living up to commitments it made in the bilateral agreement. Federal Housing Minister Sean Fraser had conditionally approved the funding in March, but sought specifics on how the province planned to reach its agreed-upon commitment of building 19,660 affordable units by 2028. In a letter written to Ontario Housing Minister Paul Calandra, Fraser said the province's draft action plan would only achieve 6% of the target by 2025, lagging far behind other provinces, some of which planned to meet 66% of their respective quotas over the same timeframe. Now, let me again put this in the context, because the whole Greenbelt thing The whole misappropriation of about $8 billion of provincial wealth and a transfer of all of it in one swoop to a certain number of specific buddies was justified by, we need to build houses. I need to build 150,000 houses. I need to build houses. We got to get these houses built. Well, here we have the federal government showing up with wheelbarrows full of cash.
And you won't do a damn thing.
And you present a plan that will achieve 6% of the target by 2025 when other provinces are submitting plans that will meet 66% of the quota. 6% versus 60 cents per 66.
There's a big difference
over
there.
5 years.
There's kind of a tremendous difference there.
Sorry, not over 5 years. By 2025, by next year.
Yes.
So you're getting the money because, and you've been telling us for the last year and a half, we absolutely have to build these houses. And yet you can't get the money out to fund 66% of your quota like other provinces can. And you're the biggest province with the most means.
Uh-huh.
I'm getting the feeling you're not trying very hard. The report card back in kindergarten, A for imagination, D for effort. If the Ontario government wanted to see a $357 million reimbursement for building affordable homes, wrote Fraser in a letter earlier this year, it would first need to demonstrate that it actually planned to build those units. Give us the money, show us a plan. No, give us the money first. No. We actually need to see a plan. We actually need to see the plan that actually makes it look like you actually want to do this thing that you're planning. No, just hand us the no. We've tried to just give you the money many times. All the premiers combined. Remember when who was it, the parliamentary budget officer, or was it, or something that said there's $70 billion in transfers that was supposed to be spent on health that just went.
Hasn't been 70 billion.
And you're still coming up.
Money.
You're still going up to the press and say, just give us the money. Trust us.
Sorry.
That era is over, premiers.
You've got not a leg to stand on there. I'm sorry, but you don't. You've got nothing to stand on. You are squandering $70 billion in healthcare dollars.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's major strings attached with every dollar you get from here on out. Because if you cannot invest the $70 billion in healthcare that you're supposed to, why would we hand you millions, hundreds of millions of dollars for housing when we know damn well you're not going to build a thing?
Why would we hand you a nickel?
You get nothing.
Jeez. Now,
And
before
they'll turn this into making the feds look like bad guys, right? They'll do their best to make them look like bad.
There you go. You know what? Thank you for providing the segue. Thank you. So, because I was just about to say now, before you hear the conservatives rush to the camera going, oh my God, what was us? The federal government's being so mean to us. The feds offered an extension that would give the province until September to outline its plan to meet the nearly 20,000 unit target. So they need to get to 66 this by 2025, and the federal government is giving them up until September to come up with a plan. By 2025 is 3 months after September. So it's like, start building now, send in your plan late, and if it meets, we will still give you the money. That's a lot of chances. I mean, when I was in school, I never got an assignment that was due in May. And the teacher said, you know what? You didn't get it done. Hand it to me next September. At the beginning of the next school year. I'll grade it, and then we'll see if you graduate. Never happens. Just
Yeah.
yeah. In the letter, Fraser wrote, Because Ontario is lagging far behind its provincial and territorial counterparts when it comes to building more affordable housing units, I believe the request to see details of Ontario's plan was reasonable, wrote Fraser. I owe it to Canadians to ensure that their money, which Parliament has authorized for investments in new affordable housing, is actually spent on building more affordable housing. Imagine that. Revolutionary. It should be noted this decision does not mean the province is necessarily losing out on the funding. Rather, it will now flow directly to the municipalities as opposed to throughout the provincial government. So, again, oh, provincial governments, you want us to go through you and not through the municipalities first? Fine, we can do that. Show us your plan. No plan? Hey, municipalities, want some money?
Mm-hmm. It's a pretty good way to make it happen.
Hey, federal government's going, hey, we're not picky. You want us to go through you instead? We're happy to do that. Show your plan. Oh, no? Okay, well, you know what? Yeah, we're not going to keep on waiting for your plan. We're going to go to the municipalities now instead.
Yeah.
You know what? TikTok, we're on a timeline. So again, just as was the case with the carbon thing, the federal government needs to have a meeting with us and it needs to be televised. Okay, bring us your carbon plans. Well, we don't want to prepare one in advance. Well, then you're not getting the meeting. Why would I'm the Prime Minister of Canada. My most valuable asset is my time. Why would I set aside a whole day or 2 days to meet with you if you're not going to come with a plan for us to discuss? Go pound oil sands.
Mm-hmm.
Just,
well, it's kind of obvious.
Like, you are wasting my time. Call me when you got something to discuss.
Well,
these are not radical and reasonable positions, people. Unless you're a conservative and you're being asked to do some work.
There you go. I was just about to say, unless.
What? You actually want us to work for the money?
I thought you'd just give it to us.
Again, this is the party that believes in the merit principle. Allegedly. We don't need to show you our plan. We don't need to actually spend some time thinking about that before we get money. What, you actually want to know what we're going to do with the money? How dare you?
I don't think I like that.
It's not the first time the government has chosen to work directly with municipalities. Fraser racked up thousands of air miles last year flying across the country to announce agreements with cities, and those announcements reached $4 billion in housing accelerator funds. Among those agreements were 25 deals with Ontario municipalities, including $471 million funding arrangement reached with the City of Toronto. While some provinces had taken issue with the feds going over their heads, Quebec has a law prohibiting federal-provincial agreements, and Alberta Premier Danielle Smith introduced similar legislation earlier this year. Although, as we mentioned before on the show, the difference between Quebec and Alberta is that Quebec was actually pounding the pavement and pounding the whole media circuit, demanding the federal government show up with its share of $900 million.
$900 million.
Quebec had its $900 million ready to go and wanted to make the announcement, make sure that they had the money secured in time to announce it in the budget. And Danielle Smith is, still somewhere trying to find the line item related somewhere to it. She might get back to us eventually on that sometime, maybe after she's finished co-opting, taking over Edmonton and Calgary, and all her other priorities. But yeah, eventually she might get around to housing or health somehow in a manner that's helpful. Or climate, maybe
something. Yeah.
Someday. Ford, who has repeatedly opposed, in the Liberals' pre-budget publicity tour, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau announced a new housing infrastructure fund that would give millions to provinces for water and wastewater infrastructure, so long as they endorse pro-density policies. That's the other one. That's the $6 billion fund.
Right.
And say, you know what, like this, we can't build here because it's not ready. It doesn't have the water and the electricity and the infrastructure. Fine, we've got $6 billion for that. Build the infrastructure and then build the houses. Oh, well, I don't know. You're meddling in our provincial affairs yet. It's like, did you build the sewer system to the new neighborhood? No. Did you make sure that electricity could get to the new no.
Well,
Do you have public transit to the new neighborhood plans? No.
I was
And you
busy,
really don't want the money for that. Dangling it right here.
but I was busy. I had things to do and stuff. I was busy.
I was busy. I believe I had a lot of media opportunities trashing you for not doing. I was busy trashing you for not doing what it is you are doing, but we're not responding to. I, I hear you. I hear you. It's beyond parody. It's stupid. Quote, we have been for weeks telling the federal government that we fund housing through service managers, that the province directs its funds through service managers in cooperation with municipalities, says Calandra. Well, some of the municipalities, Guelph in particular, says that you're not particularly cooperative. Just saying. The mayor of Guelph has been raking you over the coals on, on Twitter for months on housing.
Oh, yes.
They have, for weeks, been telling us that they did not want to do it that way, and finally last week they agreed with us that funding would happen through service managers. I fully expect the federal government, now having agreed with us that this is the best way of doing it, will provide Ontario with the $357 million that municipalities and our partners have fronted for them, and we can continue on doing what the really good work we've accomplished. Oh, so Calandra's saying now they fronted the 357, but still only got 6% rather than 66% of their goal with that.
Funny how
Okay.
that works.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pull this leg and it plays jingle bells.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I'm. God. Jeez. So nuts. Oh, all right.
We gotta wrap. We gotta
Yeah,
wrap
we
up.
gotta wrap. So just a little thing before we wrap. You're hearing a lot of talk again about the Israel and Gaza thing. Right now, the buzz is whether or not there is a ceasefire. It seems that
It's been rejected.
we've heard reports that Hamas has accepted the terms of the ceasefire, but it's a ceasefire that was put together by the governments of Qatar and Egypt that Israel has said doesn't meet its basic.
Yes. And apparently this has been a long-standing thing that they've had it's been regurgitated a few times, I've been told. So like it was just posturing, apparently. Just posturing.
Well, it seems that this is the first time that Hamas has accepted something.
Yes,
Like
yes.
we mentioned the other day, Hamas has said that it would be willing to lay down its arms in exchange for a certain number of conditions that Israel didn't find acceptable. So this is governments of other nations now that are trying to intervene in the process. They've come up with something that Hamas could agree to, that Israel pretty much summarily rejected, even though it says it is still looking it over. And while it says it is still doing that, it has launched a couple of strikes into Rafah, not a ground invasion. That Netanyahu did go into front of the media over the last 2 days, and once again said was imminent, because before he said a date had been planned, and then his defense minister said no, that wasn't really the case, and then we didn't hear anything about it, but the ground invasion didn't start, and then again he tried to ratchet up the pressure by saying it's imminent. But again, it seems that the defense minister is saying, no, okay, they've done a couple of surgical strikes, but haven't done anything in. Yesterday, or the day before, they had distributed tons of pamphlets in terms of one section of Rafah telling people to leave it to go to somewhere else. Now you have to understand there's about 1.4 million people all concentrated in that area that all escaped already from other places. So there's not much any other place to go. So it seems that Israel has also taken control of the Gaza side of one of the borders that they had recently opened for aid, and nothing is going through there. They closed that border in the north, and that they've seized control of the Rafah side of that border crossing. Not much is happening at the moment. Cindy McCain, who's with the UN World Food Agency, has basically said that we are in actual famine right now. Now in northern Gaza, and that it will probably spread, and that once these things take hold, they're very hard to reverse. And this comes as Israel has closed the northern border and has taken control of the Rafah side of.
It's all bad.
So, there's going to be a lot of developments, probably a lot of fast, and a
Mhm.
lot of things going back and forth with conflicting reports over the next few days. Uh, don't take the first report that comes out. Don't take just one report. Look
Look
at
for all of
many
them.
different sources. Don't take the first hot take because this is changing very, very, very rapidly. So just strap in your seatbelts. It's going to be a bumpy couple of next few days. But
Indeed.
if we can get something that might open a window where fighting will stop and some hostages will be exchanged for prisoners, and might give us a couple of weeks. They're hoping for maybe like a 6 or 7 week period of stoppage, which would maybe give them time to negotiate something more permanent. So that's the plan. All right, Mr. Grizzly, do we have a show?
We do indeed.
Okay, kids and cubs, that's the end of this episode of the Daily Beaver Morning Show. We hope that you love listening to us because we love making this for you. Remember that sharing is caring and word of mouth is priceless, so please tell your peeps and poops all about us. It's very important. And if you would like to not miss an episode, you don't have to, thanks to the Ray Girl. The Ray Girl sponsors our pod page. That's podpage.com/the True North Eager Beaver, lowercase letters with a hyphen between each one of those words. Or or if you scan the QR code that Mr. Grizzly will be putting on the screen right there, right on cue. Thank you very much, sir. And if you click subscribe there, when we have something fresh off the bandwidth, it will come directly to you, and that way you do not have to miss a single episode of the Daily Beaver Morning Show. If you would like to support us in other ways, you can do that by making like Kit Elaine and going to the True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated page on YouTube. And there we have 3 buttons: like, share, and subscribe. Click 1, click 2, click 3. Hey, go crazy. Have fun. It makes us happy when you click our buttons, so please do so. And if you have, let people know that you have, and maybe that will encourage them to click some buttons too. And if you would like to help us in another way, the QR code by Mr. Grizzly's head brings you to our coffee page where you will find our tip jar. If you like what we do and you would like to encourage us to do more, you appreciate our project and our product, you can go over there, scan that QR code, or you go to ko-fi.com/eagerbeaver, lowercase letters, all in one word, and there you will find our tip jar. If you have a couple of loonies and toonies that are jingling in your pocket and you think it could be put to good use to make sure that we bring this to you, we would be most grateful. So thank you very much for your contribution. Um, what else do we have? Because democracy is something that you do. If you're in Alberta, please get involved in the Alberta NDP leadership race to support your favorite candidate. Do some phone banking, some door knocking, stuff some envelopes, anything that you can. Seems that you've got a good race there, so get in there and get involved, get active. And as we mentioned yesterday, if you happen to be in Saskatchewan or New Brunswick, you have provincial elections coming up. Why not look at your provincial electoral body, give them a call, and see if there's any way you could help with a polling station or in any other way. Get involved in the democratic process. It's really, really important. We need you. All right.
Indeed.
From the Beaver Lodge, this is your Eager Beaver saying it could be a tough world out there, so please be kind to and gentle with yourself. Mr. Grizzly, do you have some words of wisdom? Because if you do, lay them on us.
Well, we now have True North
Oh,
Eager Beaver boxer shorts available on the
hey, hey, hey.
TEB merch store.
Put it on your wiener.
I put a few things on the store, obviously. The boxers, of course, and we have there's a few things that I put up because I thought it would be kind of fun. But yeah, there's lots of stuff for sale there. There's water bottles, luggage tags, phone cases, fridge magnets, tote bags, hats, mugs, 3/4 sleeve baseball concert style tour shirts, T-shirts, you name it. There's all kinds of stuff there, and I'll slowly add more stuff as time goes on. But there's lots of stuff in the store. The link is on in the chat, and it's the QR code if you want to scan that right now. That'll take you directly to the store, and you can peruse our wares that we now have for sale. So it's a sales pitch this morning. That's the only words of wisdom I really have today.
Wares for sale, appetizing young wares for sale. Yeah. All right, Mr. Grizzly, please roll those credits. Yeah. Just cue that cock, my friend. Yeah, 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 yeah.
You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Misfit Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters. CanadianTarot.com, their uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community, and the Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from farm-fresh ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind. We are grateful to the Crier Media Network for its support, Pete Jarvis for our artwork, and Paul Joseph Something for our opening and closing sequence music.
I have something
All right.
very quick.
All right.
Words of
Go ahead.
positive words from Satan. This is from Satan. It just came across.
Oh,
Twitter.
Satan.
Satan, yes. Life is too short. See that play. Eat that dessert. Take that road trip. Sell your soul. Serve me for eternity. Adopt that puppy. Oh, that's Satan, not Satan. Satan. Sorry about that.
See, now if it was Satan, you would have had a completely different. Eat organically.
Yes.
All right, kids and cubs, have a great day.
See ya.
But